Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 10 of Spy Family. So, I'm going to admit, after the last couple episodes, I've mellowed out a little bit on this series. And don't get me wrong, I still love it. I still think it's fantastic. But it's mainly just the last episodes. I just don't like Yuri. Like, I thought about it after watching originally. I've gone back to it once and checked it out again to see if it was maybe just, like, initial impressions. And it's like, no, I can't stand Yuri. And I don't know if that's the point because, like, you know, he's secret police and all. But he is so unbelievably unlikable. He is so creepy and gross and just terrible. Like, you could say, like, oh, but he very clearly loves his sister. It's like, yeah, he loves her in the wrong way. Like, it's made very clear that he has a thing for her. That, like I said last time, there's a difference between, like, a child having a crush on his sister and everything because they don't understand what the difference between, like, family love and romantic love is and all that. It's like, that's one thing, and I think a lot of kids do that. Not just their sisters or whatnot, but, like, teachers and everything. Even some cases, their parents. It's like an Oedipus complex thing. And it's completely innocent in that nature because it's, again, a kid who just doesn't understand. But the fact is, Yuri clearly didn't grow out of that like he should have. He kept up that complex into his adulthood to where he's still feeling that way. While both him and his sister are adults. And that's extremely gross. There's no way to make that okay. And, like, the jealousy angle on top of that, it's like the jealousy angle thing always feels forced. I've almost never seen it done well. Because it's so over the top in media. Whenever, like, they do the jealousy angle, especially when it's like a family member being overprotective, it's like, yeah, like, you could see that a little bit in real life, but never to the degree that they portray it. They always over-exaggerate it, which I know anime and media in general over-exaggerate things for entertainment purposes, but that's not entertaining. The context of this is not entertaining. It's disturbing. And it's through the last couple episodes with Yuri that it's just, like I said, it mellowed me out on the series because I really can't stand him. And it's not that I just don't like him in terms of, like, oh, he's meant to be unlikable or anything. It's just, I don't like him as a character. I don't want him in this series. I feel he actually actively takes away from the series. That's how bad I feel it is. So, yeah. Because of that, I've been putting off doing this recording. And originally I was going to do both 10 and 11, but I decided to switch it and do 11 and 12 together. Finish off this half of the series. And I'll probably still react to the rest of it, like when the next season comes out this fall. because apparently that's happening. um, but at the same time, it's like Yuri is easily the worst part about this. Not just the weakest, but the actively worst part about this. And I would say the only really bad part. Like, I wasn't super fond of the school stuff in comparison, but even that is so much better than Yuri. And again, I don't know what the intention was. I don't know if the intention of the original mangaka was to make Yuri that unlikable, was to make Yuri that detestable, even. This is a comedy series, so it was probably meant to like show like, oh, this guy is. It was probably meant to be shown in a comedic way. And unfortunately, it doesn't come across that way. He's not funny. And I don't want to see him on screen. I really just don't. I hope that he's a very minor character, and if and when he appears again, it's very rarely. Because I don't want to have to watch him anymore. Honestly. I don't see how anyone could think like that kind of character is a good idea. I just don't. But we'll now go into episode 10, and I don't know what to expect. I haven't been spoiled on this, so yeah. Hopefully, I enjoy it a lot more. Hopefully, we get back into the swing of things and into what makes this series great. I understand not every series is perfect. In fact, almost no series is perfect, pretty much. I would say no series is perfect. But that was a bigger issue for me than I anticipated being in this series after how good of a start it had. After the first 7 episodes were so damn great, to have it suddenly take a major dip like that just threw me completely off, if I'm being honest. But I'm excited to get to more nonetheless. And hopefully, like I said, we'll get back on track and won't have to worry about that creepy weirdo again. Ugh. But tell me in the comments below, or what am I doing? I'm getting all mixed up because of this now, and I'm thinking I'm like in the after credit or the afterthoughts because of how I'm talking about things. So let's get this going. Hope for the best and see what we got. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This was a fun episode. There was some stuff that was a little too over the top for me, mainly centering around this 6-year-old with more muscles than should be humanly possible at 6 years old. Also, being as just physically big as, like, probably a high schooler. Which also, like, compared to his size with his father, it makes me wonder how fucking huge his father is. I don't know. He was too fucking big. It's like, and his voice was too fucking deep, and it's just like, there's a certain point where the joke is outweighed by itself, and it just becomes unfunny. It goes too far into ridiculous territory. Like, a ridiculous joke obviously is fine if it's done well. You can do over-the-top humor like this. Nietzsche Joe, for example, does over-the-top humor amazingly. probably the best example that I can think of off the top of my head, also probably the most famous example of a joke from Nichijou, is the principal wrestling the deer. This older principal who normally seems like not necessarily in the worst shape ever or anything, but he seems like an older man. Suddenly wrestles a deer that Yuko happens to notice. She happens to see it outside in the school courtyard. And he's like really fucking wrestling it, doing German suplexes and shit. The deer's fighting back, and he just keeps getting up and all. And yeah, there's a couple moments during the fight where he like shows his age and everything. Like he climbs up and then climbs back down and is like breathing heavily. But it's like the fact that he's doing this kind of stuff and everything is ridiculous. But it's not too over the top that it takes away from the humor. It keeps it right in that sweet spot where it's like obviously super ridiculous, but also understands that it's like, oh yeah, this old man is not going to be able to do all of this stuff without some repercussions to his physicality. Again, the fact that he climbs up but then climbs back down, realizing that that's like too much for him, and he breathes heavily and stuff and all. It's like, yeah, that's how you do the joke well. That's how you do an over-the-top joke well. And Nichijou does this a lot. But this, it's a little too much. Like, they could have made the kid buff. That would have been fine. They could have even made him bigger than the other kids, but they made him too big and too buff. Made his voice too deep. It just they just took it too far, and it sapped away some of the humor of it. Not all of it. It was still funny to a degree, but it wasn't as funny as it should have been or could have been, and it definitely it just went too far. I actually found Anya's throw being kind of terrible funnier. Because all of the build up to it, the amazing animation and everything, and then her basically just throwing it like 2 feet in front of her at the ground was like really funny. That is how you do a good joke. Have all of that setup, all of that build up to it, and then have it just completely fake you out. It's like, oh, she's actually going to do something here, and she might still fail, but she's actually going to do something here, and then nope, just completely fails. That was good. We also had some good Henderson stuff in here. Having an elegant stroll before school hours, and being the substitute gym coach as well. He was very elegant in this episode. But definitely, I think the biggest thing to note with this episode is Damien. We are getting some notable development for him. It seems to be that his father doesn't pay attention to him. His father seems to be more, I guess, focused on Damien's brother, and Damien is just kind of ignored. So he acts out to get all of this attention. He wants people to notice him, and especially his father. And as a kid, he doesn't realize that this is not exactly helping his chances, because it would be better if he were like this star student getting, well, literal stars. The Stellas. That would definitely help more than what he is actually doing. But he's a kid. He doesn't realize that, of course. So he's acting out. And kids do this. Kids very much do this in real life. So it's definitely believable. But as I've said, he is still doing bad things. He is still a toxic personality. And even if his home life and his family life is not great, that doesn't change that. It makes you understand and feel for him, but it's still acknowledged that he's still a bully. The reasoning doesn't just automatically change that or make it okay. So we definitely need to see him be truly redeemed. And just stepping in front of the ball to defend Anya is not enough. Especially with how he reacted towards her after the game. So yeah. Didn't really work out in that regards. But we'll see how it goes, see where they take this storyline, and kind of just go from there. But yeah, overall, this episode was fun. It was enjoyable. Yor is an absolute beast, and I love it. um, and yeah, we'll see next week how it ends with episodes 11 and 12, how season 1 ends. For the time being, I thank you all so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.